Questioning My Cousin Elena by Richard Blanco. In this case, we have three stanzas. The first one of 12 lines, the second one of 14 lines, and the last one of 13 lines. So three stanzas for the poem. Sometimes, perhaps we wonder, why do we remember our relatives and what makes them so special to us? What is it that we remember? The specifics that make us remember them and connect us to the picture we have of themselves in our minds. In this case, I think that's up to extent what is happening. But we also have the title, right? The title itself, Questioning My Cousin Elena. I was concentrating on the word questioning. Why is he questioning Elena? What is the reason for that? If the poet is doing that, it's because perhaps he's desperate for an answer. What we know is that there is something that he needs, and that he needs from Elena. She can give the answer. Um, we don't know if we are going to get the answer in the end, but perhaps the question the poet is asking is also an emotional question, and that is all that matters for the poem. I have the impression that the poet is writing specifically about this relative of his because she's really unique in his mind. He's got this picture of Elena, and he's such a grandiose character that without without this character, Richard Blanco maybe wouldn't be who he is. She's been part of his childhood, as he says in the first stanza, but not just like anybody else, right? He remembers, for example, the false eyelashes, like giant black butterflies opening, and he seems to have been mesmerized by that, picture of her. She wasn't an ordinary individual in that regard. Also, he's writing about this neon green daisies painted on her bedroom walls, the songs of the Beatles, um, the lemon yellow t-shirt I loved on you, with a smiley face stretched across your breasts. Where is that, right? Where is that? But those are very vivid pictures of Elena for Richard Blanco. And that's the way he's depicting the character and making us familiarize ourselves, right, with the specifics of this important, unique person, individual. In the second stanza, I find the first line uh, very important for the poem and for what he's trying to do. I must remember you right. This is, in the way this is written, it seems like a duty. Not remembering her well could falsify the character and the individuality of the person he's trying to remember. So if he goes the wrong way, then he will falsify her and also falsify his relationship to her. So he begins in the second stanza referring to New York City and the life she led. And in an interesting moment, he says that she was parading herself and the poet alongside down Riverside, pretending I was your firstborn. It was interesting to me also that he included the boots, the vinyl boots, and the miniskirt or miniskirts, because it's not just anybody who would put those on, right? She wanted to be like on display, and the city or the street they were walking through was the stage. And in that sense, I see a lot of agency in Elena. Um, the the energy, right? The energy to displace herself and to to be seen by others, right? To not be missed by the eyes of those who were walking nearby them. Then after that, we have another moment that is actually very similar because, and now it takes place. Takes place in Miami. The poem says, 10 years later, cool as your Camaro slicing through the shadows of palm trees in Miami. This is a very sporty car. I was taking a look at the pictures of the Camaro, and indeed, this is a cool moment. And who are you going to remember if not the coolest relative you had who taught you somehow to be vibrant, to be alive, to be yourself? So this was somebody he could look up to, right? That's the way I take the writing of the poem so far. And it's the gaze of the child also looking up to somebody who is older, but not too old, not to make a good connection, right? Um, the first stanza begins with, I haven't put words in your mouth or in my mind, have I? I take that this is part of the responsibility of the poet. He needs to be faithful to his memories of Elena, and for that reason, it's important to remember the words that she said at a given moment, precisely as they were said by Elena, right? But also not to fake the memories, not to make them into something else. So I need to be, Richard Blanco is saying for me, I need to be true to who you are, Elena, as I write this poem. Then we have a mention to religion, and Blanco is saying that Elena, out of love, decided to join the Yoruba religion, which is part of the Cuban culture. We have Catholicism, but Santeria, or the worshiping of the saints, within the Yoruba religion, African religion coming from Nigeria, it's quite important. It's quite important. So it's like saying that Elena went back to her Cuban roots by doing this. In addition, at the end, we have also a recollection of how she was preserving the memory of her dad, right? And we have the cigar, another reference to Cuba, right? And an important line in which Richard Blanco says that her father always thought of Elena as someone who was very smart, really smart. I don't think this is sarcasm when he's saying praising you as too smart for your own good. So she might have been clever, and maybe she was too clever, right? She was too intelligent. She was too quick. Um, but I think it's a celebration of Elena. It's an homage that her dad is paying to her, and not necessarily he's putting her down. So we can go back to this idea that this is somebody who is quite alive and lively and um, full of energy, right? Full of energy. So something to treasure, something to get close by, something to remember, something to write a poem about as well. I find that the last lines are quite important for the book and not only for this poem in particular. I find the poem in this moment when he says, it is true we are everything we remember, right? Tell me. Tell me memories never fail us. Tell me we take them with us, that I'll take you with me and you'll take me with you. So in this moment, I find that the poem is pleading, like begging to Elena, right? And that's why he's questioning her to tell him that what he's trying to preserve with lust. Not only that, but that I am part of you because you will remember me, right? And that as well as I am remembering you, and that we have a bind together, right? Something that binds us, and that's the preservation of memories.